Welcome to Kerbal Space Program, a game about science and exploration.
Case, I am very much in danger!
We will be enlisting the help of scientists and engineers. We begin in the vehicle assembly building, where many structurally sound vehicles are built. And thus, from my blood, sweat, and tears, hours upon hours of work, I finally constructed it, the best rocket ever built. Beep. With this brand new top-of-the-line machinery, I was finally able to take to the skies. Very exciting stuff. This is the tech tree. You get science by doing research. And then you can use this science to unlock more technologies. MEEP 1 uses what is called a solid rocket booster. It's a bunch of fuel just packed into a giant can with a little exhaust at the end. Now, this produces thrust. However, once it's started, it cannot be turned off. Now, with my new science, I have researched liquid fuel boosters. These can be turned off, and, as a matter of fact, the amount of flow can be adjusted. Now, sitting at the launch pad was MEEP 2, ready for takeoff. After landing, Jeb said the famous words, "I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here, was it?" Then proceeded to enter the craft again, and then we recovered him. I then used some science to research even more technology. MEEP 2's purpose is to leave the atmosphere. This time around, I'm actually going to put good science experiments on there so I can actually get a return on my investment. Third launch is pretty boring. It was basically the exact same thing as the last launch, except it just had more science on it. Using some extra money I had, I decided to upgrade the launch pad. This allows me to launch rockets that have heavier masses. This is going to be very important for later on. This is mission control. You can accept contracts here which can grant you money, science, and reputation. This is the administration building. You can create deals here which are used to benefit your space program. I picked one that took a cut of reputation I'd gain and turned that into science. The goal of this rocket is to get into orbit of Kerbal. So far, all of my flights have been suborbital, which means they don't go into orbit. However, this rocket should allow for orbital flight, which means that I would circle the planet many times or whatever, do whatever science, and then I would return home. Thankfully, in my infinite IQ, I designed a rocket with 0 flaws that would 100% not fail later on, leading to the death of the pilot. Jeb tried his best to keep the rocket under control, but it had other ideas. Also, in my infinite IQ, I forgot to check the staging, so this happened. I detached the spent stage as well as my next stage by accident, so yeah, that sucks. Despite all of this, Jeb landed safely and without any incidents. After all of that, I decided to accept a couple more contracts and design a new rocket. My goal was to haul 2 SRBs into a flight above Kerbal. Easy, right? It was about right here that I realized my fatal error. I did not bring a parachute. And the worst part is I never even completed the contracts, which means I lost everything. And just like that, a legend died. After a brief warning period of about 30 seconds, I got right back to work. With bad staging, this rocket was doomed from the start. I had the pilot Valentina Kerman hop out before anything else exploded. After nearly getting decapitated by one of the stabilizing fins, she deployed a parachute and landed safely. After adjusting the staging, this rocket would surely take off now.
Me estaban esperando estos pacos culiaos hijos de la Maldonao, y como andaba re feliz me puse a bailar cueca.
So now that's 2 rockets that have failed miserably. Things are not looking good. The first rocket was improperly staged, now the second rocket was too heavy to lift off the ground. It was obvious things had to change. This launch was off to a good start. Nothing had exploded, the boosters all ran out without the rocket going out of control, boosters separated just fine. But then... I tried my best to get into orbit, but I just lacked the fuel necessary. Once I had returned, I decided to repurpose the current rocket by simply changing out the parachute on top for a little science container that can hold all my science experiments I've run, and then I also swapped out the solid rocket boosters for liquid fuel and then a normal booster at the bottom for my second stage. This rocket should 100% be able to get me in orbit, I just have to use it properly. The key to getting into an orbit is actually to go at an angle in the atmosphere instead of going straight up through the atmosphere and then tilting sideways once you're in space. And there we go, a fairly circular orbit. Always make sure to pack enough fuel so you can deorbit yourself so your Kerbal isn't stuck in space for decades. After I did all my science, I put her in reverse and sent myself hurtling back towards the surface. And finally, I landed.